Hey, Fielder fam, this is Kingsley DeMacpour. I serve as the lead student pastor here at Fielder Church. And I just want to take this few minutes and tell you about what's happening in the Houselife 2025. There's some exciting things happening that we want you to be aware of. In addition to watching this video, make sure you read through the parent email and make sure that your student comes ready and excited for something great to happen in their life this year. Well, this year's theme is As It Is in Heaven, and that's taken from Matthew chapter 6, verse 10, when Jesus teaches us how to pray. And he says, when you pray, say, your kingdom come and your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. And here is what we realize from the verse. Our students can get glimpses and breakthroughs of God's kingdom breaking into their lives, but that only happens as they seek God's will for their lives and not their own. So my prayer as a student pastor, our prayer as a staff is that our students will leave this weekend with fervency and urgency for God's will to be done in their lives, regardless of how young they are, regardless of how short they've been following Jesus. And one of my favorite things to say as a student pastor is that whenever our students believe in Jesus, he doesn't give them a miniature Holy Spirit. He gives them the full Holy Spirit so that they can live out God's will for their lives. So that is my prayer for our students. That is our staff's prayer for our students, that God will accomplish something great and marvelous in their lives. And now let's talk about some general details for the weekend. Houselife is a two-night event, overnight event where students will be staying in host homes both Friday night and Saturday night. And if you're a new parent to the ministry, or if you have a seventh grader, I know there must be lots of questions going through your mind. So I want to say a few things just to encourage you. I want you to know that we will have background checked leaders serving as both host homes and small group leaders at our events. These are leaders who are committed followers of Jesus. They're members of our church who have opened up their homes and opened up their lives for our students to be able to build community and know what it means to follow Jesus. So I want you to hear from me as your child student pastor. I want to thank you for entrusting us with your students. It's not something that we take lightly. And our aim is that our students will encounter God's presence as they are surrounded by godly men and women throughout the entire weekend. The speaker for the weekend is Pastor Kanan Parker. We are so excited to have him come and challenge our students. Pastor Kanan has been pastoring since 2012 and is one of the pastors of Pillar Church in Fort Worth, has an incredible testimony. Our worship will be led by none other than the Fielder worship team, and we are excited for Jira and her team to lead us in worship. And new this year is that Houselife is going to be held at the Fielder South Oaks campus. You hear that? Fielder South Oaks, all right? Don't come to Pioneer. It's going to be a South Oaks. And the reason for this is that this is going to give us a lot of space for breakout rooms, a lot of space for small group rooms, and a lot of space for us to do a lot of different activities throughout the day. All right, let's talk about the schedule briefly and what to bring. Remember to read through the email. You get a little bit more details. But a reminder, this is a two-night event starting Friday night. A check-in starts at 6:15 at the Fielder South Oaks campus. Remember that, South Oaks campus. And there's a packing list in the parent email. But I just want to highlight one important thing, and I want you to hear my heart as a student pastor. We have a no cell phone policy for Houselife. And the reason for that is there's actually two reasons for that. The first reason is that as of right now, the average teenager in the United States spends about 7.5 hours on their screens each day. And our hope is that our students can unplug from the virtual world and be fully connected to their groups and their leaders. The second reason is that since this is an overnight event, we do not want students exposing other students to something that they shouldn't be watching. We know that each parent has different rules in their homes. And as we gather together, we want to make sure that our students aren't getting exposed to different things. And this isn't to be harsh, but we want to care well for your students. So, in helping us with this, we ask that you ask your students for their phone before they leave. And if we do see a phone, we are going to ask for it, and we're not going to give it back until Sunday when we are ready to leave. So, if you can please help us in this, in making sure that your student doesn't bring their cell phone to Houselife. And lastly, we do encourage students to bring a small bag where they can put their Bible and their pen and their journal and things that they need for the weekend. And not to forget to mention, we do have late night silent disco that's happening. And the theme is 80s Back to the Future. A quick Google search will give your students some great ideas on what to wear for late night silent disco. Well, let's talk about check-in real quick. A check-in Friday night is 6:15 to 6:45 p.m. And that night, as you guys get there, your students will be directed to the check-in table and get their information on what group that they're in. At that time, also, if your student has any type of medication, even if it's over the counter or vitamins or anything like that, it needs to be checked in, parents. So a medical form needs to be signed. We'll have a medical team there ready to take those medicines. All medications, unless it's an inhaler or EpiPen, will be handed off to the host homes to be distributed whenever the students need it. If your student is arriving late or leaving early anytime during the weekend, we need to know. So there is a time away card for you parents to fill out on Friday night. And we want to thank you in advance for helping us do that. We want to be good stewards of your students. So please help us in filling out that time away card. My number is included in the parent email as well. Please let us know if your student is going to be out any part of the weekend. Now, I do want to mention the checkout process. We do end Sunday at 12:30. Students will be going back to their home campuses. So if your student is coming with another, with a fielder student, maybe you go to a different church. We do end services Sunday at 12:30. Our hope is that there will be some baptisms that day for our students to celebrate across all four campuses. So just do know we do end at 12:30 p.m. on Sunday. Our rules for the weekend, we have two simple rules for our students during the weekend. The first one is to respect the place, and the second one is to respect the person. Respect the place means that our students are respectful of whoever homes that they're in, and they're not being rambunctious, and they're making sure they're taking care of the host homes things that they're staying in. The second rule is to respect the person, and that basically means that our students are locked in when there are in small groups, whenever we are together in the large group, and whenever we are together on the rec field, wherever we are there, they are respectful of the adult leaders who are among them. The last thing I want to say to you parents is that what we hope for this weekend is that our students encounter and celebrate wouldn't stay within the four walls of the church, that they will leave with urgency and fervency. So that means that as they come back from this weekend, there are some questions that we are going to include in the parent email that we want to encourage you to ask them. And one of them is asking them, what is one thing that God is calling you to do, or God is calling you to change after this weekend is over? And our hope and our prayer is that through your conversations, that what God does in their lives wouldn't stay in the four walls of the church building. So again, I want to tell you, I am so excited for what God is going to do in the life of your student, our students. Be praying with us that God's will be done on earth as it is in heaven.